Tourism. When did the idea for the album come up?
Well, the idea for tourists probably came up in a bar. All good ideas come up in bars. In Australia, we were touring Australia just before Christmas, and we wanted to find a way to sort of capture the energy within the band. And this, I don't know who came up with the idea, but we wanted to sort of record songs in different studios in different parts of the world. Another idea was to sort of bring a mobile, portable studio with us, and try to record in hotel rooms, in backstage areas, dressing rooms, men's room, anything. So we sort of put those ideas together, and we didn't want to do a live album at all, because live albums tend to be like quite boring. It tends to be like second-rate greatest hits albums. So we put all these ideas together and called it a tour album. And it's got like 16 tracks on it, and 10 of those are brand new songs, 4 are live recordings, and there's another 2 other songs which are like re-recordings of old Roxette standards.
108 shows across 4 continents in 1 year. Are you workaholics?
I think it's very important to take care of success that we have now and do our best. And time flies, everything goes so fast. And so I think now with the tourism album, is a wonderful album that for us is going to be a very nice memory from this world tour, because we never know if we can do a tour like this again. You never know about future. And
the idea with tourism was to sort of capture the energy within the band. When you're on the road for such a long time, there are things happening within the band. The band obviously are getting tighter, but also when it comes to personal relationships, it's really hard to sort of go back into the studio after like 6 months and try to sort of have the same energy. So I think it was a good idea to sort of, be able to sort of take advantage of everything that's surrounding the band, the energy. And also most of the songs on Tourism were written for the band, which is a big difference, because the Joyride album itself was basically written for the studio. So if you listen to songs like Keep Me Waiting or Cinnamon Street or The Rain or Hardship Sea, it's made for the persons in the band. So there's lots of reasons why this thing worked out.
You seem to have become a big family over the years. How important is it to you to have an all-Swedish team conquering the world?
Well, I think the sort of family thing that we have is crucial to our success. We're very proud of having all this success with Swedish musicians, and we have our producer Clarence Overman. He's also the keyboard player in the band. He's like the key figure, and Anders Hallén is the bass player and also the engineer. So it's Jonas Isaksson, lead guitarist, is responsible for this brilliant guitar work on the albums. And for us it's old friends, and absolutely they got a big part and should take a lot of credits for our success. We got some more people in the band.
yes, it's Staffan Overman. It's Clarence's smaller brother. He's doing the backing vocals and percussion and keyboards, and Vicky Benkert, and those two together is a very good team on backing vocals. And yeah, like Per said, we have known them for a very long time, and that's important to work with people that you know as friends. I think and then it's much easier.
And Pelle Alsing plays the drums.
Yeah.
Great drummer. Terrible tennis player.
It must be easier with such a family of friends around you.
Yeah, absolutely. The whole band and everyone is like, when you're on the road for such a long time, you have to know each other very well. Sometimes it is more important that it works socially than it works musically, because you're living very, very close to each other. You're traveling all the time, and I'm really happy to say that after this tour, we've been out for a year. We still talk to each other and we still enjoy our company, and I know that not many bands can say that after a year on the road. So that's really a good thing, and it has a lot to do with that we've known each other for a very long time.
Every song on this record seems to have its own story. How do you do, for example?
Yeah, well, How Do You Do is, I was basically writing another song. How Do You Do just jumped down on the desk. You know, it's one of those songs that you feel like you've been written so many times, but still it feels fresh. It turned out to be an interesting thing when Marie got involved with doing the chorus. You know, because we did this key change, this modulation, which sort of made the song happen even more. I think it's really fun, and it's. Actually, I think that's the song that are most produced on the record. You know, it could be on Joyride, you know, because we spent a lot of time producing it, which you can't really say for most of the other tracks. We try to do it very simple, but How Do You Do is a very produced record. It's like a puzzle of sounds and everything. It's great fun, and it's been fun to watch it grow during the tour, the summer tour, because when we started playing it, the record wasn't out, you know, and in the end, it's a big hit, you know, so it's fun.
You seem to go back to the 70s.
Yeah, well, I think How Do You Do is a lot of you know, the early 70s stuff. It could be like a Chinny Chapman song, you know, Mud or Sweet or whatever. It's got that attitude, you know. Which is, I mean, basically we were teenagers at the time, you know, so it's something that we like to listen to.
Yeah, Fingertips. It's one of my favorite tracks, and I don't know when you wrote it, Per. But I remember the first time I heard the demo version, Per singing the song, and I fell in love. It's a great song. It's very warm, and the lyrics are so special, and that's a song that I really hope that we can release as a single in the future, because it's very catchy.
That was recorded in Rio de Janeiro in a studio just below the big Christ monument. It was fantastic, you know. It was like a very special feeling. It sounds a little bit like the Beatles meet Mamas and Papas, you know. It's a lot of all these Marie's harmonies are really interesting, and it's one of those songs that was around for a while. I wasn't really sure that the chord progression was good or bad. I couldn't make up my mind, and I phoned Clarence, our producer, up to sort of play the chords for him on the phone. He said, "Wow, that sounds interesting. Sounds really fresh." And then when I played it to Marie, she was like, "Yeah, this is a great track." And also, it's nice when I always prefer Roxette songs when we sing, both of us, you know, because the song sort of grows, takes the listener to a new dimension when you sort of exchange vocals like we do on Fingertips. Yeah, actually, that was the birds. You know, it was like almost like a joke. We were fooling around in the studio in Rio, and someone came up with this idea. We have to have birds, because Clarence thought that we had birds on the demo, which we hadn't. You know, so let's find some birds. We found some Brazilian birds to put in there. That's great fun. I can't really remember when it was written. It was written this spring, I guess. It's like a happy song, you know.
That's a song that, I mean, we have been living with since 1988, and it's always going to be, I think, for Roxette the key song, because that was the song that really helped us, and I think we had #1 in 20 countries with that song, and I never get tired of the look. So many other songs that I get tired of, Roxette songs, playing. I mean, 108 shows.
Yeah.
It's the look is something magic with that song. It's always funny to do live. So we wanted to record that song live and put on the album, because it's so much energy in it, and also I think because it's really Roxette. It's how we started that song.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's even if today you hear it once in a while on the radio, and it still sounds like a hit record, you know. which is more than you can say for most songs that was recorded in 1988. And so there's definitely something special with that song. And also, I mean, this recording was done in Sydney, Australia. Obviously, the audience reaction to this song always are enormous, you know. So it's very easy to sort of find a good version of it, you know. And also the band know it by heart, you know. So it's a matter of finding the right night, so to speak, when the audience is 100% and the band is 100%. And this is like, I think this is a good recording, captured what it's all about. It's a little bit different because it's almost like a folk song. I wanted to write a song that was, you know, in the sort of Tim Hardin tradition, you know, with this late 60s New Yorkish folk tradition. Also, it's we recorded that song in LA, and also the song found a new dimension immediately when Marie moved in and started to do her vocals on it. It's a little bit special, and that's one of the best tracks on the record. Also, I'm really happy that we got so much good response playing it live, even though people have never heard it, since it's not out yet, you know. But still, it's an immediate song, and it's great to perform with mandolins and everything.
We record that song here in Stockholm, and it's a very nice lyric. And I think that now Per and myself, we've been working so long now together. When he writes songs for me, I think that's a typical Marie song. The lyrics fit me perfect. The atmosphere in the song and the melody, the chorus is very special.
It's very much a small town song, you know. It's basically about, you know, when you grow up in a small town, that you don't really give yourself the chance to grow because there's always something that holds you down, you know. So, I mean, it's a sort of a liberation song that you sort of, in a much more intellectual way than Dressed for Success was. Dressed for Success was also like, you know, stand up and fight for your rights. It's sort of, this is also the same thing, but this is a little deeper, you know. It's a very personal thing, and I know that since both Marie and myself are small town people, this is a subject that are very close to our hearts.
It's a typical Per song, Keep 'em Waiting.
Yeah, I guess it is. It's what I like about that song basically is the lyrics, because it's they're sort of doesn't really make sense, and I like that. It's like a fun lyric. I like the rhyming of monument and monument. I think that's great.
But that's the really nice side that you have. I mean, if I should sing that song, it should sound terrible. I remember when Per was writing The Look a long time ago, and he wanted me to sing this song. It sounded crazy. I mean, it's those kind of lyrics fits you perfectly.
Well.
But because I think you're crazy.
No, but I think it has to do with melodies, you know, because Marie's range is so wide, and my range is very narrow. So a song like The Look, for instance, we shouldn't be talking about The Look here, but still, The Look is like very da 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 da. There's hardly any melody at all. Keep Me Waiting is sort of similar, you know. Da 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 da. It's a very small melody, so to speak. So Marie, she feels much more comfortable having a big melody, a wide range, lots of modulations, and It Must Have Been Love or Perfect Day, you know, songs that really needs a big singer, you know. So Keep Me Waiting is obviously perfect for my voice. You know, it's more like a deliverance than a performance, actually. But it's fun. It's very hooky, and the chorus is great. You know, it's also, it doesn't really feel like it's something we've done before. You know, with the structure of the song, it's a little bit different, and it's always great to hear Jonas sort of going mad on the guitars. You know, all this, there's lots of overdubs. You know, it's great. It's like a punkish attitude to the song, which is enjoyable.
Playing in front of 50,000 people in Santiago in Chile, and the whole audience singing It Must Have Been Love. I mean, that's a memory forever. We're very happy that we recorded that show, and because it's so nice to have on the album, and it's a fantastic intro to the new version of It Must Have Been Love, the country version that we were recording in LA. Also very special, the arrangement is so warm, and it was really nice to sing that song again, because it's a very old song for us. And now, since we have played that song so many times live, I have changed the melody so many times. So when we were recording it, it was like I was singing it live, performing it live. It was all of us together sitting in the studio, and in 1-2 takes, I think.
We were fooling around in the dressing room, actually, before a show in Canada, I think it was. And we were supposed to do an acoustic performance at a convention in New Orleans. And we just sort of rehearsed the songs, and someone came up with the idea, I think it was me, that we should do a country version of It Must Have Been Love, because it's got this old Neil Young groove to the song if you wanted to. If you play it on an acoustic guitar, it's like boom, boom, tsh, boom, boom, tsh, And we had already booked studio time in LA to do Heart-Shaped Sea. So we said, let's do just the backing of Heart-Shaped Sea and do another backing of It Must Have Been Love, instead of just finishing Heart-Shaped Sea. And everyone said, yes, that's a good idea. Everyone in the band are sort of more or less big country fans, So this turned out to be a fantastic session. And I think, vocally, I think that this version is even better than the original one. Because it's you can hear that Marie has become the song, when she sings it. It's not just like singing it. She is the song, and I think this is a great version. I know that this version is going to surprise a lot of people, but that's good. The whole thing with the sort of putting the live version and the studio version together came from a Jackson Browne record, Running on Empty, which he's doing sort of the same thing with 2 tracks. And obviously it was this idea came very easily with having a live version in front of the real version. Basically because, Marie is sitting there with a piano and everyone is singing every night, it's like great. And wherever you are on this planet, everyone knows It Must Have Been Love. It's a great thing to have captured it on the record. It brings tears to your eyes. Hello, Mum.
Yeah, Cinnamon Street, we had little problems with that song in the beginning, because I sang it first, but it didn't work. Sometimes you just feel that, no, that song don't work for me, and it was much better for Per to sing that song. So we have 2 different versions, but the last one with Per singing the lead vocals was much better.
I think that also has to do with what we talked about before, with the melody. It's a small melody to it, and it's more like a story. Also, it had to do with the attitude. The first version we did was a little looser, a little poppier. Then we went into the studio in Copenhagen and recorded it once more with a little bit more guts, a little bit more harder edge to it. Also, we blended our voices much more in the second version. Even though I'm doing lead, Marie is there almost all the time, coloring it. The lyrics are basically about my old neighborhood when I grew up. So obviously, that's also a reason why it was probably easier to deliver by me, because it's about me, So it's also, a small town story, I have to stop writing these small town stories.
Have to move to a bigger city.
Yeah, exactly.
Never Is a Long Time is absolutely one of my favorites as well. I like all the songs, of course. But that one is special because it's a very, very old song. It was actually written for Look Sharp. And I don't know, we didn't record it that time.
We did a demo of it in the studio here in
Stockholm. But it was... No, I don't know. It was. I think we had problems with it to find a good arrangement, and so this time we say, hey, why not do it just totally acoustic? And so we rented a nightclub in Sao Paulo in Brazil,
Very ugly.
Very
Red and gold.
Yes.
Looks like a bordello.
So Per, myself, and Jonas and Clarence Overman. Clarence was playing the piano, an old piano, and Jonas acoustic guitar and U2 as well. Per also playing acoustic guitar. And it's only one take. Sit down together. I think we rehearsed for a few times, and then we just recorded it.
It's interesting because we Marie and myself, we went down first on this session. We're sitting there in this empty nightclub and trying to find a good key for it. We're sitting there, a couple of beers and pizzas. Terrible pizzas, by the way.
Yes.
And Marie wanted to use a very low key, almost like when she's whispering, when she speaks, very, very soft. Which doesn't really make sense if you have a big arrangement, but for this track and for this very sort of low-key arrangement, it felt like her voice creeps into you, which is really interesting. And that's why I think this song lives in this version. It really grabs you, and it's a one-take vocal as well. But I think we had a big advantage that we had recorded it. We knew the song.
Yeah.
You knew the song from before, so it was very easy to get into it. It wasn't a new song or anything. But obviously for everyone, it's a new track.
It's so sad.
It's very sad, but still, it's nice. And we have this sort of Ry Cooder-ish slide guitar played by Jonas, which also sort of brings the song up to life. And Jonas is also doing mandolins in the choruses. So it's a great track, but it was terrible pizza. That's a really good question. Silver Blue, it's one of those songs. There are always songs that you feel didn't really get the chance it deserved. We played Silver Blue live on the last tour, and we got a good response. And through our fan club in Germany, for instance, we get all these charts, the fans' favorite songs, and Silver Blue is always top 3, so. Mm-hmm. And what we did basically was we took the old version and sort of made it happen even more. We put more guitars on it and stuff like that. So it's a song that both of us really like a lot, and it's very beautiful. It's almost like a song from a movie. It was also basically written for Look Sharp, but then we wanted to do a re-recording of it, so we kept pieces and added pieces.
Suitcase song. Here Comes the Weekend. It was really fun to do. We were in Buenos Aires in a hotel room, the whole band actually, and a lot of food and beer and coffee and stuff, and sitting in really a party. And our drummer Pelle, he put together some suitcases where we put some microphones on, and he's
lots
playing.
Of towels on them.
Yes. So he's playing on suitcases, and then Anders, sound engineer, who puts a lot of effects on it, so it sounds very, very special.
Yeah.
It sounds really good. So it feels like a party song.
That recording sort of captured the whole spirit of this album, because we wanted to, it's a fun thing, and when you tell people that you did this, we did this recording in hotel rooms, everyone says, you're getting drunk and doing some stupid stuff, but it's not like that at all. It's more like everyone was in really good mood, we had a great time in Buenos Aires, and the only problem we had was that they were redecorating the hotel at the same time, so we had to sort of talk to the hotel manager to tell him to stop sort of banging the walls, The song itself is also quite old. It's been around since since the Look Sharp days, but we never really did anything with it. And I think this environment fits it perfectly because it's very simple. It's very sort of an obvious old time pop song, And if you go into the studio to do this song, I think it would be like too light and too meaningless, But in this environment with these suitcases and everything, and accordion and there's a lot of noises and coffee cups and everything, it sort of makes sense in a funny way. In the end of Here Comes the Weekend, we try to phone room service, and if you listen very carefully, you hear a guy saying, "Room service?
Yeah.
Hi?"
Yes.
We try to sort of get this on tape, and it's there, but it's very low. It's fun.
Yeah, it's in the same room, same hotel room. That's also a very old song for us. It was on our first album, Personal Passion, which was only released at home in Sweden and in Canada. That's a song that both Per and myself always liked a lot, and it was also a song that we just wanted to do like it is. I mean, very cool recording, acoustic.
We've been doing it for like that on stage as well. During the last, not the Joyride tour, but the Look Sharp tour, we did it once in a while, and just the two of us. So we knew that the song sort of had a power to stand on its own right, just with a couple of guitars and piano and vocals. And it's also a one-take vocal, which is interesting. And sometimes it's just the best, you know. The guitar's a little bit out of tune, though, but who cares? Well, Come Back Before You Leave is sort of jumped into the album, basically, because it's one of those songs that we talked about before that didn't really get the chance, you know. The only connection with this album is that it was recorded for Joyride, and this is obviously the Joyride tour that we've been working. It was the B-side of the Joyride single, so I guess a lot of people have already heard it. But still, it's a fun track, and we had so much problems with it while we were recording it. You know, we had problems with the intro. We had another intro, which are not on this version, which sort of screwed us up a lot. You know, we spent like weeks sort of starting all over again, you know. And so when this song was done, everyone was so fed up with it. So we said, we can't have it on the album because we're going to hate it. But today, you know, it feels like it should be on the Joyride album, and especially I like the middle eight, you know, with Jonas is playing this sort of George Harrison slide guitar. Sounds a little bit like My Sweet Lord or whatever, you know. Great vocals as well from Marie on that one.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's a wonderful song to do live, and it has been so nice in the show to have that in the middle to cool it down a bit, and we do it just two of us. Where were we recorded that song?
In Switzerland, in Zurich.
In Zurich, yeah.
You always look for songs to sort of take down into just like the simplest elements, you know, like an acoustic guitar and vocals, and Things Will Never Be the Same works very well. Obviously some songs are written that way, you know. Things wasn't written on guitar, it was written on piano. The version we had on Joyride was very much a studio thing, you know. It's very produced, very sequenced. So we just felt that this song could have another life, you know. And it's always been like a showstopper. If people come to hear the radio hits or the dance hits or whatever, they really listen when these songs come up.
Why is Queen of the Rain the last song on the album and not Joyride, which would have been a more natural choice?
Queen of Rain is last, basically because we felt that if Joyride is the last song, it's going to be like, it's so obvious, you know. If you put Queen of Rain in the end, it's more like, you know, the Sgt. Pepper thing, you know, we have A Day in the Life as sort of an extra track. We always considered Queen of Rain to be one of our best songs. And it was obviously recorded for the Joyride album, and people who heard the song at the time Joyride came out said, "You're crazy, why don't you put it on the album, because this is a great track." But we felt that we wanted to tour with Joyride, so we wanted Perfect Day instead, because Perfect Day's got this accordion, and we needed the accordion thing for the stage show. Queen of Rain it has oboe and all those kind of instruments, but still it's a little bit more difficult to perform. So at the time we thought that it was a better idea to use Perfect Day, because we had so many ballads anyway, so it was a matter of picking the right ones. But for this album, we knew that Queen of Rain has to be on it, you know, because we really like it a lot, and I think it's if it comes in the right environment, I think it's going to be a major track. It's very beautiful and it's very sad, and it's once again Maurice really creeps into you when she's singing it.
And who actually is the Queen of Rain?
Well, I think there's a little Queen of Rain in everyone, you know. It's not about a certain person. It's more like a state of mind. The chorus actually is written by Mats Persson, who's been collaborating with us for a very long time, since 1932.
We can't forget Joyride.
Yeah, Joyride have to be on Tourism album because it's
It's the theme.
yeah, it's the theme, and then and do that song live. I mean, in the end of the show, every night when Perry's screaming, "Come on and join the joyride, everybody!" For instance, in South America, 50,000 screaming, "Wow!" That was a fantastic feeling, and everybody knows the song. It's like It Must Have Been Love, and the look. And then in the show, we had all these balloons,
Wonderful balloons,
over the audience, and we have a lot of fun with those balloons, and also a very, very nice memory.
It's great to have, it's like a trademark song, In the beginning, we had a lot of problems performing it because it's very much a produced song, but we took it down to the 8 of us, and it works very well after 108 shows. And so it's great. And this particular recording is done in Sydney, Australia. It's nice with these type of songs, like The Look and Joyride and Dangerous, which are basically traditional pop songs. When we perform them live, they turn into a little bit more edgier, a lot louder. Everyone is looser when they play it. It's and you can hear that on Joyride. It's sort of screaming. It's fun, which is basically why we picked those 4 live tracks: Joyride, The Look, Things, and It Must Have Been Love. It's because they have a new life in live versions. It's not like replicas of the recorded version, the album version. It's more like a new thing.
Is Roxette a rocky pop band or a poppy rock band?
People seem to know all our songs, and especially when they go to the show, they get really surprised. Did you do that? Did you do that? We have that song at home. I didn't know it was Roxette, but still, I think that's the price we have to pay, because Roxette is so many different things. Roxette is not entirely top 40, and we're not entirely ballads, and we're not this or that. If you listen closely to the albums, you find there's a big wide road between Watercolors in the Rain and Small Talk, for instance, which are 2 different worlds, both lyrically and musically. And that's what we like, and that's what we try to show with this album as well. We're doing like a folky thing with Heart-Shaped Sea, doing a country thing with It Must Have Been Love, doing a sort of punk thing with Keep Me Waiting, or a really, really, really soft, intimate thing with Never Is a Long Time. So I mean, we that's because we're 2 persons, 2 personalities, with 2 very strong wills and different opinions, and that's why it works, I think. But of course, sometimes you have a problem with it because people always want to put you into formats, especially in the States. They want to stick to the winning formula, stick to your format, keep on doing those power ballads, which is nice, but it's only a part of us, The whole tour, on a scale to 10, we must give it 11. It's been a magnificent tour everywhere. From the beginning, we started in Europe, and we felt that we knew that obviously that the album was big when we started touring. Fading Like a Flower was exploding, the second single, and we really felt that it's happening. We started off, in Northern Europe, and went down to Germany and Holland, all those countries, and you felt that the explosion was there. Suddenly we started to sell out 15,000 seaters. And then we just moved to Australia, which was equally good. Our first tour there, and played the big places. And then we did North America after Christmas, which was our first North American tour as well. We played a little smaller venues, but still good reception everywhere. And I think for us, the North American tour this year was the same as the European tour in '89. We presented Roxette as a live band. People really didn't know that we were able to tune our guitars. So this is like a presentation, a showcase for Roxette. The Canadian tour obviously was a big success.
And South America was, for all of us, so special because, the countries over there it's so different from Europe and from Sweden. And so that was something very, very special to play in North Argentina in 2 cities called Tucumán and Córdoba. They were closing the whole city. It was the Roxette Day, and the kids...
It was like carnival.
Yeah, the kids don't have to go to school. They should go to the Roxette concert. They have never, ever in in Tucumán had a concert before, seen a live rock and roll concert.
So you didn't need a lot of Verilites to impress people there.
It was fantastic,
Yeah.
and also in the school they were using the lyrics from the Joyride album to learn English, to know what we are singing about, so they could understand us when we were performing.
But then they speak very bad English there, so they used this album sort of to get the kids to know English.
Yeah.
Which says a lot about how big it is there. And we were really taken by surprise, because we knew that we're selling a lot of albums there, but when we got there it was like a fever, a Roxette fever.
I think it's the biggest tour in South America since Queen 1981.
Yeah, it's true.
So we're very proud of that we were going there.
Yeah.
and
Hope they
perform.
come back there and play.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's great.
And then after that we went back to Europe and playing outdoor arenas, and it felt like coming home.
Yeah, of course.
Everywhere in Europe, it's fantastic.
And looking ahead, what does the future of Roxette look like?
Well, who knows about the future? I mean, what we're trying to do is to sort of come back to normal, back to zero after this sort of almost 4 years of traveling and promotion and touring and recording. So what we're going to do now is basically to take a break for a while. And hopefully in the spring we sort of start working, recording, and hopefully get some new directions and new ideas to sort of bring the Roxette ship to new oceans. But who knows? I mean, right now you just feel like you want to sort of go back to bed.
I have to work on a Swedish album as well. I've been working for that for a very long time, and that's for my Swedish old fans, and that's something that I must do. Go back to sing some songs in Swedish, because I think it's so hard to write in English, and so that's a good step for me in between all these Roxette albums, and because then I get a lot of new inspiration, and so then I feel hunger again next year to start to work on a new Roxette album. So I'm going to do that before Christmas. That feels like vacation.
I think it's hard to take vacation. I never really take vacations. It's like the line between being at home, and working is very, very thin. It's like even though you're at home and you're taking time off, you're sort of constantly looking for ideas, and constantly doing something creative, and it has a lot to do with personality, I think. I don't see a big difference between my personal life or the Roxette life, because for me it's like one thing, and so
there's a big difference between us, because for me it's not. For me, I have to have my personal life and my private life. That's something that I don't want to be involved in Roxette or in my job. So we're very different there.
Mm.
But I think that's why we can work so good together, because we are so different. And but sometimes, of course, we have problems, because when I say, oh no, we have to have vacation now, I don't know what to do when I have vacation. I must work. Oh, come on. And so it's but that's who we are, what we are, and I think that's, like I said, that's why we have all this success, because we complete each other so well.